This is the 100 Phenom. This is 100's first ever foray into their flagship badminton shoe range, and this is what it looked like 6 months ago. I'm not sure if you can actually see any differences immediately, but there's a lot of backstory to this and a lot of hard work has gone into this. So let me bring you back and actually take you through the story and also go a deep dive into what this shoe is all about. So this shoe, depending where you are, is launched in 2026 Q1. It could be as early as late 2025. However, it certainly did not come with its own hiccups or smooth sailing journey. Obviously, every single designed item out in the market here has gone through a lot of design and also rigorous testing before it actually made the market. And so this is the commercial full retail model that we have on here. Obviously, this 100 Phenom shoe is in collaboration with Goodyear, as you can see on here. This 100 Phenom shoe is worn by a lot of hundreds sponsored players, such as Callum Hemming and Estelle Van Leeuwen, Eloa Adam and Leo Rossi of France, as well as Nicolas Joaquin and also Raymond Indra of Indonesia. You can see them in various different colors. My favorite one is the yellow one. Obviously, I don't have that with me here. I only have the white and the green model here. The yellow one is my favorite because it makes it look super fast on court. Another thing that really stands out for this shoe is the collaboration with Goodyear, the legendary tire manufacturer. And I was made aware that Goodyear had a special compound designed for the shoe, and obviously from my testing of the shoe so far, the outsole is really grippy on badminton specific surfaces, and obviously it will still work really well in comparison to slightly more dusty and also normal leisure center halls. Another thing about the outsole is I like that the 100 logo is actually etched in or cut in from the outsole rubber, and I like that it's also you can move it around, you can push the blocks around, so that means it's actually quite grippy, and also the rubber compound is fairly soft, so I love the outsole grippiness. In the shoe upper, you will actually see that there's armor mesh around the shoe in terms of its marketing name, and this covers the front of the shoe, the side of the shoe, and also all around on completely almost 360 of the shoe. This helps with breathability of the shoe, but obviously it also gives it some form of protection from all of these other panels. Duracore is the other technology name that you will see. This is the synthetic leather that is covering the outside of the shoe. From my experience, there is some form of wear that can happen after a few hours of wear. So you can actually see that there's wear in front of the Duracore soft to touch material. And obviously I am right-footed, so you can actually see that there's more wear on the inside of the shoe. On court, especially for me, I'm a right-hander, so I'm dragging with my left foot, and you will actually see some wear quite quickly, but it doesn't impact any of the shoe's performance. This is not a problem, this is just a material that's actually chosen for this shoe, and I don't think it will not impact performance whatsoever. Want to protect your rackets from chips, scratches, and even potential cracks? Have peace of mind with the premium racket protection tape from ckydw.com/shop. They're almost invisible and gives your racket the extra layer of protection in case of scrapes and or worse, a clash. So go check them out, and we also have some limited edition signed prints there too. Some of the other areas of the 100 Phenom, you can also see that the padding from the ankle side of things is also sculpted, and it is specifically designed to have a little bit of abrasiveness so that you feel completely locked on. It is very comfortable, and so I have no issues completely whilst testing and wearing them at all. The insole is the other side of things. This has a grippy insole, which I like, and if you're familiar with some of the other brands of shoes such as Yonex or Li-Ning or even Victor, you will not feel that this insole is completely foreign. This is quite a grippy insole. It is also slightly thinner, so it's quite similar to Li-Ning's high-end shoes insoles, soft and squidgy, but then grippy, which is actually what I like. I really like grippy insoles. Of course, they do wear out, say, after a few months of wearing, but that comfortable and confident feeling you get when you put your foot in it and you know that you're gonna stop when you're lunging and not crash against the front side of the shoe. So if we go into the wear and performance and feel of the shoe, so immediately when you wear them, so I wore this shoe brand new, and this is the commercial retail version of the shoe, and straight onto a league match. So I wore it for the very first time. It's not even in a badminton dedicated hall. It was in a leisure center, which had quite a dusty hall because obviously the kids were playing football, indoor football, before our league match. And The grip for the outsole was actually perfectly fine. It had no issues being in that leisure center hall. I had no rawness or soreness coming from my toes or my shoes from the start-stop nature of badminton. And yep, so it was super comfortable from my side. In terms of the insoles, yes, like I mentioned earlier on, I really like the grippy insoles and they work really well for me. I've not had any issues whatsoever so far and I like that. I did find the toe box at the front of the shoe quite wide. This is obviously to cater to people who have wide feet. I didn't have that as much of a wider feet in comparison to the rest of the world, but I found that there was just a little bit more gap in front of the toe box. Easily solved by just tightening the shoelaces for me in my use case, but I found that, yep, slightly wider on the front of the shoe. I played a full match with it straight fresh from the box and I had no issues with it, and obviously I continued wearing it for testing for quite a few sessions after that. And yep, I had no soreness or no blisters or rawness coming from the toes whatsoever. In terms of cushioning, it feels like you're quite low to the ground. So this shoe reminded me a little bit more like the Yonex Aeros shoe, which is you're quite closer to the ground, and in terms of stack height, it is actually perhaps slightly lower compared to some of the other more recent modern releases by Yonex and also Victor, like the Yonex Subaxia range, where you had like thick pile, quite high up in terms of cushioning, thick padding, or the Victor C90 series of shoes where you have really soft, high cushioning. This one for me, I felt quite low to the ground, and then also that means it feels faster from that perception. And so, yep, I have no issues with that. From the people that you've watched my channel, you know that I like the Yonex Aeros style shoes because it makes you feel faster to the ground. But this one reminded me a little bit more from that side, even though I was told that this shoe was designed in comparison to the classic Yonex 65 series shoes in mind. But for me, this reminded me a little bit more about the Aeros side of things, and I like that it's low and fast. However, in future iterations of the shoe, if 100 was to decide to increase stack height to get more cushioning and padding into the shoe, I certainly wouldn't mind it at all. I think that would be a good option too. In terms of weight, it came in at 732 grams a pair, which was actually a little bit surprising. At the time of wearing it, I did not notice the weight at all whatsoever. If we're comparing to the Yonex 65 series of shoes, we are seeing 650 grams compared to 730 grams. So it's about 80 grams different here. And if we're comparing it to the Aeros, it's 550 to 732 or 735. So it's quite a big difference from that side of things. So it weighs almost identical to the Victor A970 series of shoes. And that shoe looks quite bulky and also super well cushioned. So I think there's some improvements for 100 that could be made in terms of the weight there if they decide to save some. But I think for a first generation shoe, I think it's come quite far in terms of its design, because 6 months prior to this launch, I was actually in Singapore and I was invited to do a test on their shoe, which were being finalized for commercial release at the time. And that was this pair of shoes. And on camera, I think we would struggle to actually see just like this because of the color scheme of the shoes. But up close and personal, the amount of changes that's actually been put in just from the 6 months of me testing this, and then when they then decided to ship me the commercial release model, the difference in terms of updates were staggering. You can actually see that the mesh is completely different in terms of sizing and also the density of it. So that's one. The cutting of the side panels in terms of the armor mesh wording here, the panels that's actually sticking onto the mesh is again completely different. And the reason is, from testing, we found that it was tearing from the little cuts, and so 100 managed to then patch that and update that design very, very quickly and effectively. Another one that came to mind very, very quickly was the tongue design. So you can actually see that the tongue design are different. This is fully gray, whereas this is gray with different type of mesh material, thicker, more well-padded material, compared to the green on the top side of the tongue. The ankle support has also been updated on this retail model. It was completely smooth, sculpted, but also smooth, whereas I think I personally prefer more the textured feeling because it gives you a little bit more confidence. You know that your ankle is well supported and you know that you're not slipping in and around the shoe. So hence this was also updated. Insole was also updated. The insole was previously a completely fully smooth insole. I guess It's personal preference, but I personally really like the grippy insole because that again gives me confidence when you need to start, stop, and actually on the court jumping around. I really like that updated insole where it's grippy and also soft. The outsole is completely the same from the one that I tested to the current retail model because obviously that has worked really, really well. And when I was testing in Singapore, I was playing on badminton specific surfaces in an amazing hall. So no matter what you do in that hall, you will not slip in that hall, and that's the Wise Arena. And that was pretty cool. But I was quite impressed when I came back to the UK and played with the retail model on leisure centre halls, which probably most of us sometimes probably don't have access to dedicated badminton halls, and that's probably more representative of the actual grip. So 100 did a good job collaborating with Goodyear, coming up with that compound to be able to get that good grip level across their shoe. I like that. I think overall for this first pair of shoes, I think 100 did quite well in terms of releasing the first flagship model. I was actually quite impressed with how many updates they were able to take from 6 months of that test that I did in Singapore to when it's fully commercially released. Is this the best badminton shoe ever from 100? No, not yet. But the price to performance ratio is actually pretty insane. I'm excited for the next generation to come. Let me know if you've tried the shoes. Leave me with any questions you have in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.